In this video, we're going to show you to install the radiator on your Nissan Quest located behind your front grille. Now before you tackle the AC condenser job, you want to bring the vehicle down and have the AC system professionally evacuated. Then we can go ahead and tackle this job. With the hood open, you want to go ahead and locate the radiator cap right here on the passenger side of the engine bay. Before you remove this, make sure the engine is cold. Never open this radiator cap after the engine's been hot and running. Press down, rotate counterclockwise, lift up, and set that cap aside. You want to go ahead and loosen and remove this 10mm bolt as well as the one on the other side. Grab this here, gently pull that up and out and set it aside. Using a 21mm socket, loosen and remove your lug nuts. Remove your wheel. Once you've completed this, repeat for the passenger side. Now with the vehicle raised, on the leading edge here, we have a splash shield. This is a series of plastic retainer clips. We need to remove all these here and then pull the shield down. Some of these clips are gonna be fragile. Be prepared to source some replacements. And just continue to remove all these here on the perimeter until the shield comes down. With the front splash shield removed, you can actually see the drain unit here for our radiator. So you want to have a drain bucket ready to go. Let's go ahead and put our plug back in. Majority of the coolant is gone, so we're just going to snug that gently. Remove our upper cover here. Our particular vehicle has a Phillips head screw center. Use your trim tool to pop out the center and then remove the base. Repeat this for the other 5. Using a T20 Torx bit, we want to loosen and remove these screws. Now, our particular vehicle was in an accident. You may have different hardware holding the bumper to the wheel well liner. With the screws removed, you want to go ahead and peel the fender liner back. And right up here, we have a 10mm bolt that secures the bumper to the fender itself. You want to loosen and remove that. Repeat for the other side. Along the lower portion of the bumper, we have 2 T20 Torx bit screws. You want to loosen and remove these. Once we do this on the driver's side, repeat for the passenger side. On the lower corner right here, remove this T20. Ours is broken, but you want to remove this here. Repeat for the passenger side. Underneath this fender liner here, we're going to peel this down. It's going to give us access to our particular model. It has fog lights. We want to go ahead and disconnect this connector. Work that off. It's full of debris. And then we have this little harness here. If you go on the back side of it, you can feel little tabs. I'm going to use my needle nose pliers to gently pinch those tabs and disconnect the harness. Here's the little tabs we have to pinch in on. Let's repeat this for the passenger side. In order for us to pull our bumper and grill off, right here in the center of the grill, or the center of the fins, but on the outer portion, there's a hole. Now, inside this hole, what you're going to be looking for is you're going to be looking for something that looks like this. So there is a square hole, and on the front of it is another square, and it's kind of rotated crooked, and there is a slot in the middle of it. What we're going to do is we need to put our screwdriver into the hole, into this notch, and we need to rotate this. We're going to try and go clockwise until this lines up with the back hole and unlocks it. There is one on the passenger side as well. Let's repeat this for the passenger side. Now, if we lift up the upper portion of the grill, I'm using a angled pick here. And on the base, there's going to be a series of these black tabs here. We need to get underneath and lift up in the center. And we need to do this across all of the clips here and pull the grill out, separating it from the bumper. Now, along the bottom of the grill is going to be a series of those black tabs I just shown you. There's one on the outer edge here on both sides, the driver and passenger side, that you can only access through the wheel well area. So let's go ahead and show you how to get that. Peel back the liner. We try and pull that bumper out, and it's right here. So I'm going to use a pick, and right here on this bottom tab, push in and out. Then we should be able to grab a little bit from the outside and pull that a little bit. We're going to repeat this process for the passenger side, and then we'll work on the center clips. On the outer tabs that we just accessed through the wheel well, we had to push up on the tabs to release the lock on the grill. As you come more inboard, the tabs themselves have to get pressed down to release the lock. Now that we released all the inner clips, we just slide this out. So on our tabs here, the little lock tab on this one here needs to get pushed up. As you come across, this particular one was broken, but this one here presses down, 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 up, and up. So you want to make sure that you're releasing these center tabs properly using your pick or screwdriver to work those out. The last 2 buttons that are holding our bumper into place are placed right here. Use your trim tool to hop on in here, pop out the center and remove this. And we'll repeat for the other side. Where the bumper meets the fender, there's going to be a retainer clip in here that locks it in together. So you're going to come around the edge here, behind the fender liner, and gently pull outward. Pop that off and move the bumper to the side. This portion of our thermostat water neck needs to get separated from the radiator. So we're going to first remove this here. We can slide this hose. I'm going to use a pair of pliers to gently twist that off. On the back side here, there's a hose clamp. Using a 10mm socket, we want to loosen and remove this bolt here. We're going to grab our water neck with the upper hose here, and we're going to pull up on this and kind of rotate this, try and wiggle that lower hose off. If that hose has been on there for a long time, you probably need some assistance by prying that off a little bit. Here we go. Upper radiator hose comes over and is supported by this bracket right here. I'm going to use a 10mm socket to loosen and remove this. That'll allow us to pull this upper hose back and away. Next, remove this tray here. It's held in place by 2 plastic push pins. Use your trim tool. Pop out the center. Then get behind the base and you can lift that out. Do the same over here. On the top here, we have our sensor. We're going to put our finger on the other side, and there's a little spring tab. You're going to pinch that tab and lift up on this harness. Sometimes you can use a pick or a screwdriver if needed to assist you in pulling that up. You just don't want to pull on the wires. Ours is stuck, so I'm going to use a pair of hose pliers here to gently pinch that tab and wiggle this up and off. Now right here we have our AC lines, and we're going to use a 10mm socket. You can also use a Phillips head screwdriver to loosen and remove this. Now be aware, even though the system was professionally evacuated, there's probably still going to be a little bit of pressure in the system, unless of course you have a leak. Then you won't have any pressure at all. Go ahead and grab these lines and we're going to wiggle them up. Now these are sealed with O-rings as they go into the unit, so it's going to be a snug fit. Go ahead and wiggle those up and out. Sometimes you can use a screwdriver here to go ahead and assist with that. Now on the back passenger side of the radiator here, you're going to find the other AC lines. It's a 10mm bolt here. Loosen and remove that. And the reason why we're doing this is that we need to separate this unit here from the front lines. That's going to allow us to manipulate our components up and out of the way. Now with this separated here around the front, I'm going to have a little more room to move our line. Now on this side right here, just to the right of the condenser, there was a tab, and this is part of the radiator. Now if you press down on this here, it's going to allow you to pull up on the condenser itself. Sometimes you can get underneath the condenser and lift up, like so. We're going to do the same on the other side. All right, our condenser is now released from those upper tabs. We can lift that up, pull it up and away. Well, on the top of the radiator, there is the plastic support here. Now the 2 little tabs, there's one right here, and there's one on the other side. So what I'm going to do is, when you undo these here, this horseshoe clip is going to release. Slide that forward. I'm going to repeat for the other side. Now we're going to grab the top portion of our radiator and we're going to pull this out, move the AC line to the side, and give this a little tug. Now what we need to do is remove the upper radiator hose, and we need to get to the clamp on the bottom. Now you can try and get to the hose on the inboard portion there. You want to remove that hose clamp and slide it out and pull that hose off. Just work that hose off of the radiator itself. Now on the driver's side here, we have a line. We need to disconnect this from the hard line. So we have these plastic crimpers here. They do not cut, but it's simply to pinch and keep that fluid from running out of the hose continuously. With that pinched off, let's go ahead and use our pliers and disconnect that hose. Now we're going to remove our upper thin line here. I am first going to put a pair of plastic crimpers on here. This is going to keep fluid from leaking out from the transmission. This does not cut the hose, it simply pinches it and keeps fluid from coming out. Use a pair of pliers to pinch the hose clamp up here. Let's remove the clamp on our lower radiator hose. Now that we have the hose pulled back, or the clamp pulled back, we should be able to get in there and loosen that hose. You want to be careful not to damage or tear it. And grab that hose, we want to twist it, break that free. Using a 13mm socket, we need to loosen and remove the hardware holding our hood latch in place. On the top of our radiator, we're going to go ahead and remove the insulator bushings. There's one on the driver's side, one on the passenger side. Let's grab that radiator. Radiator up and out. You want to be careful because there's some more coolant still in the radiator, so be sure to go ahead and empty that out. When we install our radiator, there are pins on the bottom right here that are going to fit into rubber grommets down in the support. Go ahead and grab that radiator, and we're going to feed that in from the top. As we lower our radiator down, we want to make sure we can get the pins for the radiator into the grommets down below. Okay, lower the radiator down into the rubber grommets. With that in place, we're going to go ahead and put our bolts in for our hood latch here. There's a pin right here on this riveted bracket that needs to go into the center of our hood latch. So put in the bottom, line that up. Let's install our bolts. You just want to make sure these are good and snug, but you don't want to over tighten them because you're just tightening into plastic. So make sure they're just snug. Let's go ahead and take our radiator hose, get that lined up and slide that into place. Make sure that hose is fully seated. I'm going to slide our clamp back into place. Now this type of clamp, I'm going to roll this back to show you. This type of clamp, once you compress it so far, it actually locks itself open. So when we slide this back into place, we're going to use our pliers and just pinch this again and it should release it. So push that back. What we're going to do is we're going to hold that. Right in its original position. You can actually see the indents in the rubber slightly. There it is. Clamp is released. So now we're going to feed up our other line here. I want to go ahead and adjust that clamp. Bring that back a little bit. Go ahead and pull off the cap off of this. I'm going to use our pliers here, open up that clamp. All right, we got our line installed. I'm going to release the clamp here. Pinch that back. Here we go. Now with both of these hoses installed, I'm going to go ahead and spray this down with some solvent. Just clean up that area and then we'll wipe it down. Now I'm gently pushing that radiator back and work this hose into place. And right here we can see that I have the clamp in place. I'm going to release the pliers. Now you're making sure that the hose itself is pointing upward so we can attach our other adapter. Install the rubber grommet and do that on the other side as well. Once you have those installed, and take your retainer clips here. Now there's a notch in here to go around the rubber grommet. Press that in. That's going to lock into place. Going to repeat this process for the other side. Going to take the AC condenser. Want to make sure that our tabs on the condenser are lined up with the tabs on the radiator. Now when dropping our condenser down into place, you want to make sure that these tabs, the aluminum tabs, slide down into the plastic tabs on the radiator. So there's one here, one on the bottom, and then we have two on the passenger side. I'm going to pop off your rubber grommets. Now we're going to use a little bit of PAG oil on our O-rings here. It's ideal if you can replace these O-rings if you're replacing this unit. If you have them, go ahead and do that. Put some oil on this here. I'm going to slide this into place. Install your 10mm bolt. Go ahead and snug this down. Once that bottoms out, just give it a little bit more. About a quarter turn, maybe a little bit less, making sure that your bracket here and tubes are flush. I'm going to install our AC lines. Now you do want to make sure that the O-ring seals have been replaced. Get everything lined up. Going to install the bolt. You want to make sure that this seals up nice and even. Install the harness on the receiver dryer unit. Press it down, you're going to feel it and hear it snap into place. We're going to install our hose clamp tool. Open up that clamp, we're going to slide our water neck down. Feed that down into place, make sure it's fully seated. Then we can bring our clamp up. Just using our pick to slide this clamp up. Now that we have our clamp in place, we can release our tool. Let's go ahead and install our bolt right here to hold that. Snug that down gently, install the expansion tank hose, and slide the clamp up. Install our bracket in the center here. And snug it down. Remove the rubber cap. Install our hose. Install our intake tray. I'm going to line up our bumper cover. Want to make sure we get our tabs here up on that bracket, sliding this up underneath the headlamp. You want to do that on both sides. Now we're on the side here. I want to go ahead and line up the bumper with the trim. You want to go ahead and press this in on the passenger side. Install the bolt on the back side of the fender. Secure that, and then repeat for the other side. Right here, want to go ahead and install your plastic push pins. Go ahead and pop in the base, and then you can go ahead and take the center button, line that up, and push that down into place. Repeat for the passenger side. On the back side of the grille, we have these little square holes here. These are the ones that line up with the little tabs. We install the grille, and you need to put the screwdriver through the front of the grille to turn that to interlock into it. We're going to line up all of our locking tabs across the bottom of the grille. Line it up, and then go across the bottom, snap in the clips. Go ahead and put the screwdriver in and get into the center of that little square, and I'm going to rotate that, lock it in. We're going to repeat for the passenger side. Go ahead and install your plastic push pins here. It's a total of 6 on the top of your grille. Lower the airbox down into the air filter port. Wiggle it down, line it up, and install your two 10mm bolts. Go ahead and snug them down. We're going to install our center splash shield here. I'm going to line this up. Let's go ahead and install the rest of our push pins around the frame. Install your retainers across the front lip here. And continue across the front. We'll snap in our last one here. Now that we have all of our buttons in across the bottom of the bumper, let's go ahead and install our fog light connections. Go ahead and line up the connector. Push it up, and you're going to feel it and hear it lock into place. Install your little clip on the side. Once you've completed this, repeat for the passenger side. Let's go ahead and tuck our fender liner up into the bumper. Let's now go ahead and install our hardware. Now we want to get our fender liner inside. So you can do is use your trim tool and just kind of guide this in and around. Now on our previous fender liner, it was torn out, so there was a series of screws thrown into this. It does not need to be that way. What we do need to do is pull this one single tab out for the outside and use a single screw. And snug that down. Secure that. And we'll install our 2 plastic push pins. Just going to install the second one over here. Once you've completed this, repeat for the passenger side. Take your wheel and install it. I want to go ahead and start these lug nuts by hand. Get them started a few threads. This will help prevent cross threading. Once we have them all started, we're going to go ahead and snug them down. When tightening down the lug nuts, you want to do it in a crisscross pattern. Go ahead and torque your wheels down to 80 foot-pounds. Do this in a crisscross pattern. Once you've completed this, repeat for the passenger side. Now at this point here, we want to go ahead and fill up our cooling system. Go ahead and add the appropriate coolant per the manufacturer specifications. And now once this is filled up, go ahead and install the cap. You do want to go ahead and double check the expansion tank here. You want to fill it up to the full mark. You want to go ahead and start up the vehicle, let it run for about 45 minutes, even go for a road test. You want to come back and check the level on the expansion tank. Never open this up when it's hot, but you can always top off the system. You can go ahead and open up this cap and fill it up here. At this point here, we've now installed our AC condenser. You now want to go ahead and bring the vehicle down to a local shop and have the AC system recharged.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.